Hello, welcome back to Empowered Hearts podcast. I am Morgan, and this is Krystle.
Hello, welcome to episode 47.
Episode 47. I don't have my microphone on today. Hopefully, this sounds okay, but I just realized it's not plugged in. But
I can hear you perfectly.
good. I think this whole microphone thing is like kind of a gimmick. Like the
Yeah.
microphone on a Mac is fine. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I need a microphone. I have a podcast." No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That's $100 you just flushed on the toilet.
I
So
mean, if you record like healing transmissions, it would be really good.
yeah.
Or like recorded hypnosis sessions, because you get that really clear audio. But like for this, you don't need it.
So today is the 11th. We're recording today and we're going to put it out today. We've been a little bit behind. I've been not feeling good and I've been super busy as well. And I asked Krystle to like push it, but we have an eclipse coming up this Friday. And
Hmm.
from my non-astrological self here, I'll just talk about it. Um, it's in the sign of Virgo and it's a full moon eclipse. Don't know what exactly does that mean? I don't know. But I do know what it's doing to us is when it's a full moon eclipse versus a solar eclipse, the moon represents your internal world, like your emotions and your subconscious. And a solar eclipse represents the outer world, like what's going on around you. So, what's really happening with this eclipse is internal shifts. And
Hmm.
it's supposed to like really affect me. Maybe it has not yet, knock on wood. Um,
Hmm.
but it's supposed to like for a Gemini rising, it's supposed to like really smack us in the face. But essentially, and including with Venus retrograde, and like we've had on the podcast
Hmm.
already, um, with Catherine explaining about Venus retrograde, what this time period is really doing and asking us to look at is old patterns. This is my very
Hmm.
long-winded introduction to this week and over the next like 30 something days with Venus retrograding. We're being asked to look at old patterns that are surfacing around money and around relationships. And you can look up online, like, for your rising sign. So that's like how things are affected. You can check like personally where it's hitting your chart, but it's for everybody. Venus retrograde is hitting money and relationships, and the eclipse is really looking at like old systems and patterns that are not working around everything, and it's being called and it's going to get loud. So if you have
Hmm.
done the work, it's going to come smack you in the face.
Here we go. I saw a meme today on Instagram and it said, the upcoming eclipse is like having a best friend that comes over and goes through your closet and is like, keep it, get rid of it, burn it. Like it's
Yeah.
like that. It's very, I don't want to say harsh, but like intense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to look at my own life and I'm like, what needs to change? Right?
Yeah.
Really what's personally come up for me is just to try to like give you guys examples of maybe what you guys are moving through is really just patterns. Like where am I insecure still is
Yep.
really, but I'm not sure if that's the eclipse or Venus retrograde. I think that's Venus retrograde. I don't know what's
Yes.
coming up for this eclipse. Like I
Maybe the
can't
eclipse
stage
is,
right now.
oh, I was gonna look it up on my phone, but my phone is right here. Um, Maybe the eclipse is just heightening Venus retrograde because I think they're very similar.
It's weird. I don't know. No, I mean, like, let me tell you, the eclipse that we experienced last year, it like when I tell you something, like that's the day that I had to leave my work, right?
Mhm.
It totally eclipsed it out of my life. It was like, you are suicidal, leave. Like I
Yep.
couldn't function. So I'm like, I'm like looking at everything in my life and I can't see anything that's coming up. Now, I don't want to let's knock on wood. I'm staying
Yeah.
open, but how are you finding this time or is anything coming up for you?
Well, it's interesting because you think that you've, fully healed a piece. Like, let's say a relationship to money, because that's what came up for me. I'm like, you know what? I got this. Like, I feel like I'm pretty much in flow. I don't worry about money typically. Um, and then the other day, it was like smack right in my face. I was so triggered so hard.
Mm,
But it was the situation and the way that it came up. Because when things happen unexpectedly that you don't, perceive, it's a little bit more triggering than if you expected something, maybe it costed a little bit more, or but when it's like something straight out of the blue and it happens, it really shows you where you still have pieces that aren't healed.
yeah.
And so it was like really smack into my face. Like, I feel like we need to pay attention to what is triggering us because that is showing us and like what it's attached to. It's probably relationship related in whatever way, whether it's time, money, people, control.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been speaking to friends and stuff, and I realized, you know, and that's like the basis for this episode around Krystle's experience around just what we're all kind of dealing with right now. It's what are you giving your power to freely?
Yeah.
Because, like, and does that thing, person, whatever, deserve your power?
Yeah.
Because giving your power away is a privilege. Like,
Yeah.
let's underline that.
It's a choice.
It is a choice. It is
Hmm.
not like this whole thing of it's not it's expected, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
why? And we, because we are acting from a wounded place of needing validation from other people, places, things, money,
Hmm.
there's something going on with our internal value system where we, "Whew, there you go, take my power.
So
Now you control me."
let's just clarify what you just said in an example. So an example would be um, a person, I need you to accept me for me to feel accepted.
Mhm. Or I need you to love me in order for me to love myself.
Yeah,
But
that.
then,
Yeah.
like, it's the other way around. And
Yeah.
we, like, I had a friend and I was this week and it was driving me nuts. I'm like, she's talking to me and I'm like frustrated for her because I'm like, you got it backwards. Like, this partner of hers and she has willingly given her power away to him. Like, you can know my location, you can, talk to me a certain way, like, and then she just kind of sits on the sidelines, and I'm like, why are you giving, like, this person has not earned that, And I think we do
Hmm.
this. Like, I did this in my old job. I wanted to be valued so badly
Yes.
that I gave
Everything.
all of my, like, I would lay down like flat for my boss
Mhm.
to see my worth by overworking, by coming in early, by doing more, 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 and never asking for anything in return. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait a second, guys, like, we are giving our power away too freely, and for what? For love?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's empty love. It's not even it's not like you cannot fully receive it if you don't love yourself.
Right.
It's the same with money. You can't fully receive money if you have a scarcity relationship with money, because then it's like you're filling a bottomless pit. I'm only okay if I have money. No, you're not. That's not truth. It's like people feel so much lack, and I know that there's so many strings entangled into that topic because it is a really hard one for people to understand that you are still safe whether money is in flow right in this second or it's not. Like that's a whole different thing. But when I received that unexpected payment, I was so triggered and I was like, instant rage just came through my body because I was like, I don't want to consent to this. But I think that that also shows us, how far we've come. Right? Like, I'm not going to let money run my life. I'm not.
Yeah, and that's really important what you said because if you think of it this way, let's say an unexpected bill comes up, right? And but it's like, okay, I'm choosing to pay this bill.
Yep.
This is let's say a fact. The bill needs to be paid. Okay. But then there's all the stories with it. So it's like where you give your power away in this moment looks like being angry, raging, sad, scarce. It's like, wait a second, let me reclaim my power.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like totally blown. I've blown my nervous system out of proportion. So can we reclaim it and be like, okay, there is a bill and it really sucks and I might have to go into debt over this bill, but am I going to die? No. But
Yeah.
we don't know the difference between actually dying and paying a bill.
Yeah, I know. Your body doesn't.
Your body does not. And when we talk about this if you've never heard like a money conversation before from a mindset perspective, you might think we're crazy. And that's okay. I get it. But
Yep.
money is uh, it's all energy behind it, right?
It is.
And money is meant to flow in and out,
Yep.
right? Like and the more that the
You
more,
neutralize it.
yeah.
The more you neutralize it, to not make it mean anything other than
Yes.
that it is energy and it's allowed to be in flow, and what flows out flows in, and if you can stay neutral and not allow your nervous system to react and stay in that space where it feels safe. Now, this is an example of an old pattern showing up in my life. This is what I mean. Okay. I feel I've cleared the money thing, like the karmic scarcity, like I've cleared that. But then this happens, and I was like, okay, we're not falling back into this old pattern. I noticed right away. I get on the phone with Morgan and I was like, hey, because she's telling me she just walked through this with a different situation. And I'm like, holy shit, what you're saying makes so much sense. This just happened to me with money. I literally gave it my power. I just took it, handed it right over. I'm in a spiral. Here you go. Like, no,
And
I'm
I
not
mean,
get.
this can happen with anything, right? Like this can
Yep.
anything like let's say you get into oh, let me drop in and think of something. Okay, let's say your weight. This is a
Yeah.
great your body. Okay, let's say you're trying to lose weight or let go of weight or gain weight or whatever the story is. And it's not quote unquote working. It's not
Hmm.
going fast enough. And then you have a moment where you feel fat, and I'm using quotations here, where you feel fat and you're like, and you spiral. And it's
Yep.
like you're now giving your power away. You're letting something pull you off your center that
Yeah.
in the moment you don't have control over.
Yeah.
It is what it is in the moment. It's like, okay, can we just accept that this is rather than giving our power away? And it is easier said than done. Like it is
No,
definitely
it is.
like, you know,
So true. But like, why is this important? Why is it important that you like stand in your power and not allow things to take from you?
are you asking me?
Sure.
Because things are going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Regardless.
Yeah.
And so the more neutral you can be, the more you can control your life, right? So
It's true.
if something happens like a big bill, and you completely lose your shit and you've like now that's your life. Now
Yeah.
now that's your life. Now every day you wake up, right? and you think about this bill. Oh my God, I'm worthless. Oh my God, this bill. Oh my God, I have to pay this. And like, I don't want to take away from that because that is also true, right?
Yeah.
That
It's
is,
all, yeah.
it is true that there might be a big bill to pay. There is true that like you might feel shitty about yourself, but why don't we do something about it instead of letting it completely rule our lives? It's like,
Hmm.
that is still going to exist. Why don't I just reclaim myself and pull all my energy back from it and put it into a place of how can I be creative in making more money? Or
Yep.
what else am like, I am worthy of other things and happening aside from just a bill, right? It's like what happens is we give our power to people, places, and things, and then we get sucked in that vortex, and that is all who we are now. Now we are just a piece of shit that owes money, and there's nothing else that's to us.
That's what I was gonna say is you are allowing something else to dictate your self-worth.
Yes.
Soon as you're like, you are more worthy than I am.
Mhm.
This money is more worthy than I am. I'm gonna just push all of me over and let it suck me up into a hole. No, you are worthy.
Mhm.
That is just a byproduct. It's not even worth it.
Mhm.
That's what I feel. It is not worth it. You want somebody to love you, love yourself.
Yes. Let's talk about this. Yes, you want someone to love you, love yourself. Let's get really
Love yourself.
into
Yeah.
this means about relationship dynamics, about how to like calling in friends, partners, whatever, because we called each other in and like we should share
Mhm.
the story of how we found each other.
Yeah, and we weren't even looking.
No.
It just happened. The more that we work on ourselves, the more that we line up for experiences that reflect the work that we've done on ourselves. So, for example, Morgan and I have both been on a healing journey for 4 years, probably longer, but like let's say 4 years.
I.
Yeah. And doing the big work though, like really the self-love, the self-worth, the all the selves. There's like there's like so many of them. Um, and just by divine alignment, we ended up being in a group and we just hit it off. And it was like the most easy relationship that we had ever experienced where we learned, oh, this is really safe. You
Mhm.
know, this person can really fully hold all of me. I can come into this space and unapologetically be myself and be received and be loved and be accepted and be validated and heard and understood. And we had been doing that for ourself leading up to that point
Mm.
because we had.
Yes. And I will say, like, the essence of mine and Crystal's relationship is it is unconditional love.
Yeah.
Love, it is a love without condition. I don't, I don't just love her when she's having her good days or when she's nice to me or when she does energy healing. Like, there's nothing that Crystal will do or not do that will change how I feel about her.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean,
Yeah.
we've gotten into little tiffs over things before, but like it hasn't changed
Yeah.
our love, right?
No.
And this is
No.
what happens in partnership is like if you can find somebody to love you without a condition, but the way you do that
Hmm.
is by loving yourself without conditions first,
Yes.
right?
Which is standing in your power.
Yes. Not let and like to like we're probably using like spiritual lingo here, which is probably annoying, but it's what does standing in your power mean? It means
Yeah.
not giving things like, money all of your attention. Like, oh, I'm a piece
Yeah.
of shit because I have a bill to pay, or oh, this person doesn't love me, I'm not good enough, or oh, this or
That's it right there,
self-abandonment.
though.
Self-abandonment,
Self-abandonment too.
self-abandonment is like number one thing people do is like, I was guilty of it for most of my life. Just, I ran over myself for somebody else. I am a piece of shit. I'm worth
Yep.
nothing.
Yep. Well, and there's so many parts about self-abandonment. Like you make yourself a promise. I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do a practice for me today.
Mhm.
That's what I'm gonna do. And then you don't.
Yeah.
And
Or,
that is self-abandonment. That is one thing. It's like you are saying that you aren't worth getting up in the morning and doing that for. I gotta bring this in really quickly. I saw this little video, and the lady, she's a master manifester, of course, because that's like my all of TikTok. But she's like, the first thing I do in the morning, as soon as I open my eyes, I place one hand on my heart and one on my belly, and I say, "Good morning, Krystle. Today
oh,
is gonna be a beautiful day." It's like that's the attention that you deserve
yes.
from you.
Yes.
Like, do you ever say to yourself, "I love you"?
I did today. I had a huge cry
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
and I hugged myself and I was like, I love you so much, Morgan. Like, thank you for
Yeah.
holding it together for all these years. Thank you for doing all the work you did. Like, yes,
See, and people don't do that.
I know. I make my clients do it. They think they hate me. Some they're like, I don't like this. I'm like, I don't care, do it.
I love that you do that. I love that you do that because it's something that is just not taught.
I know.
It's something that's not taught. And at first it's going to feel foreign. Like I asked Bella the one day, I said, what are 10 things that you love about yourself? She's like, I'm not answering that. But I asked you the same question and you're like, oh, okay. One, two, three. Like it was easy for you. But that is kind of like what's going to show us our relationship to self. And the more that we're working on ourselves and the more that we're getting to know ourselves, which was the last episode that we talked about, the more that we develop that self-worth, the more that we understand that, you know what? You're worthy
Mhm.
more than that bill.
Yep. It's very true. And the self-abandonment thing, like it's like saying, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow. And then you don't, but out of the reason of like, I'm kind of lazy, right? Not so there's like so if you say I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow, and this is something that you really want to do for yourself, for your health, right? Like, first of all, let's find the reasons behind it. And if you say, and then I'm not going because you just don't feel like it or you're being lazy, not because maybe you're ill, but like you're just like, meh, in the moment,
Hmm.
like you abandon yourself. It's like you didn't hold yourself accountable to your actual needs because in the moment you feel kind of shitty. It's like,
Yeah.
what's important to you? Is changing your life and being healthy important? And are you now, because in the moment it's hard, gonna just abandon ship and be like, I had a tough day, I had a long day. If it's really that important to you, you will figure it out, tired or not.
If you're important to you, you're going to figure it out.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be the gym. It can be
Exactly.
going for a walk. It can be having a practice. It can be anything that's for you. But the number one thing is that most people wake up and serve the world first. And they're like, "Oh, tonight after I've done 865 things for other people,
Mhm.
then I'm going to put myself first." No. That's you putting yourself last, which again, that's self-abandonment. It's like you come first. So
Yep.
when something happens and the let's go back to the whole trigger the bill. Okay, you receive the bill. Okay. I understand that this is upsetting to me. I'm going to sit, I'm going to honor this feeling, I'm going to feel it, I'm going to recognize it before I even start projecting onto that money because that's what happens. Here's my power. There you go. Take a moment for yourself.
Yes.
Feel into what you're feeling. Why are you feeling this way? Is it really as big of deal as you're making it? How did you feel before you got the bill? Were you already triggered? So is it actually about that? Like there's so many things that come up first, but it's like we are so quick to just hand it over.
Yeah. And working with yourself that way helps helps stop self-abandonment, right?
Yeah.
Because like something happens, it's like, oh my God, and then you just react. Then you're just in the reactive mode. It's like, oh my
Yep.
God, I can't handle this. I'm gonna go drink. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like
That's a great example.
give yourself like 5 minutes. Like what if you're feeling out of control and now you're gonna go like numb it, right? Or whatever it
And
might.
yeah, I was just gonna say, substance is another example of not all the time, but in that particular situation, you are handing your power away to that.
Yes. You know, I forget who I was talking to. Oh, I did this interview yesterday with Carleton University, and the girl is like she's like a student doing like a piece on me for yeah, she's gonna see if she can get it
And I love this.
published too, which is would be awesome. But she asked me like to talk about substances and like what I think is the problem with them with drugs. And obviously like having the heavier drugs in the world are definitely a problem, right? Like having
Hmm.
opiates and fentanyl is it is a deathly problem because that can just kill you. But other substances like alcohol, or even though I don't drink, there are other substances, that people can take part in.
Yep.
This was my answer. I was like, I actually don't think the substance is the problem, aside obviously from like fentanyl, and because that obviously can kill you. But still, it's like, and I've said this on before, it is your intention of why you use it, right?
Yep.
Even if your intention is to numb, own that.
Yeah.
Own it. Take
Yeah.
accountability. Don't be giving your
Yep.
power away of, oh my God, I was so upset and this thing just took over me. It's like, hold on. You, rightfully so, ran towards a substance to have it numb you, and now
Yep.
it's alcohol's problem. It's like, no, you have like own the fact that I'm gonna go drink to numb my problems. You are gonna like lessen your drinking problems by 50% just by owning the fact that you want to numb out.
Oh, because you're holding your power.
Yes, because you're not going to hold shame
Yeah.
around it because you're
Yeah.
now, because you're like,
Yeah.
I want to drink. Perfect. Own that.
Okay. Yeah.
There is like I'll never tell people don't use substances. I am not even against substances. It's
Yep.
I'm against giving your power away to substances or to the emotions that are driving you towards a substance. So it's like let's just take some accountability that you are gonna go drink because you're upset. Fine. Just own it. And it
Yep.
changes the game. It changes the energetics around why you're doing something, right? Which then changes how it affects you.
It's so true because so many people like will admit that they want that drink at the end of the day to take the edge off. That's okay.
Mhm.
And how many of those people feel guilty or shameful about it?
Lots.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like it's okay.
It
It's
is
okay
it's
if
okay if you can't handle everything. Like just let's just get really clear on that. It's okay if you have a blown out nervous system. Like a lot of us do. There's
yep.
nothing wrong with you. It's like let's just say I'm a person saying this. I use alcohol to cope. Okay, great. The fact that you can own that takes you take the
It's true.
accountability, you
It's
know?
true.
When you take
Yeah.
accountability, you're not being thrown in the wind by everything that happens, right? It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
have a big bill. I must drink. It's like, I got a big bill. Maybe I'm gonna have a drink to like help my nerves. Okay,
Yeah.
good for you. Like,
Yeah.
oh what? It changes the energetics.
So true.
Yeah.
It's so true. I love that. I love that.
I really don't think. substances I mean, yes, like obviously the harder drugs can be so, so dangerous, right? And you can get so addicted, not like unintentionally, which is why they're dangerous. But I really actually think emotional suppression is more dangerous
Yeah.
because,
Let's talk about that.
yeah, people use to cope with the emotional suppression. If you didn't have the emotional suppression, you probably wouldn't use.
Unless it's
Me, I'm a
like,
recovered addict. Like I can give you all of the
yeah,
information.
recreational, which some people
Yeah.
do for fun.
Yeah.
That's different. But like emotional suppression, let's just touch on this for a minute. What does it mean? I think that this is just my opinion, but I really believe that it starts out as a young child and not feeling safe feeling emotion or not being allowed to fully feel like the spectrum of emotion that it because kids feel it fully. Like if you watch a kid have a temper tantrum, they are exploding their emotion and then boom, they're happy. It's like it almost looks bipolar, but that is healthy.
Mhm.
It's like you allow that emotion to take up space, give it the platform, and it really doesn't last that long. And then it's released from your body and away you go, right? But we've been taught, oh, stop your crying, that's too loud. Go to your room. Like, oh, you can't do that in public. It's embarrassing. Like there's all these pieces or like you get smacked when you're a child because you're crying and you're upset. Like there's so many layers and then you learn I got to hold it in. I'm not allowed to be upset. And then that held like density builds in the body. And then it starts to come out through anxiety or you can't sleep or you're having panic attacks
Yeah.
or you're using.
Yeah. Because you feel so uncomfortable that you're like, I just need something to make me feel better. Right?
Why do I feel this way?
Yeah. And the body will, like, this is kind of like a backwards way of understanding it, but this is actually what happens. The body is trying to release it. It's trying to get you to pay attention to the depression, to the anxiety, so that you can look at the problem. And when you look at the problem, you can then let the fear go, or let the
Yeah.
anxiety go, or let the depression go, right? If you look at the sadness that you have around your childhood and you
Mhm.
address it head on, guess what? The sadness is not going to live in your system anymore because you,
No, which is so beautiful.
right?
It is. So, like a panic attack, I feel like could possibly be your body being like, okay, we need to let some steam out of the kettle here.
I mean, yeah, I should get my book. I should open my book. See here.
Like,
I
it's
will.
like, you know when like something triggers you and you just have like one of those cries where it's like a full body cry, like you can't stop, like you're sobbing. That's not just that one little moment. It's
Oh,
like a whole bunch of other little moments that you didn't allow yourself to let that out.
I mean, I have no idea like what a panic attack is from a textbook, what that would consider be. But I do know, like, I feel like a panic attack would be from an energetic perspective, your nervous system feeling unsafe. And it's
Hmm.
like almost having like deja vu. Like it's
Hmm.
recreating a moment of fear from a past moment in a present moment, right?
Hmm.
It's like you're experiencing now I don't know much about them, so I don't want to like
Yeah.
talk out of my ass on this because I really don't, but I feel like it has something to do with your nervous system being stuck in freeze, and not knowing what to do.
Yeah, because for some people it happens in the middle of the night.
Hmm. It's hardwired to an old story.
Okay.
It must be because why else?
Could be.
used to get them when I was driving when I was younger, and I have no idea. I don't know. Like
Why?
I'm that is one thing. I mean,
We're gonna have to look into this.
it would be interesting to go into someone's subconscious over what a panic attack is. I'd be so curious to know.
I've had one in my life and I couldn't breathe. I was like hyperventilating.
Yeah.
But it wasn't attached to anything in the past. It was a current moment where I felt like my entire world just crashed down on top of me.
Mm.
It was so earth-shattering
Yeah.
that it was like 1 minute everything was fine, the next minute like it's not fine. And
Mm.
I think it was just such an intense amount of emotion that welled up all at once, like the anger, the resentment, the fear, everything in that one moment, that it was just so much for the body to process.
Mm.
It was just overwhelming.
Yeah. So I really like, I think would be really helpful to wrap this up for people about like what happens when you give your power away freely is that essentially what happens is you are self-abandoning. So
Yes.
what do we do? It is a really good thing to sit with yourself, like truly, like no phone, no computer, no TV. Sit with yourself in uncomfortable feeling of whatever situation this is that you're giving your power to, whether this be in a relationship through a partner
Mm.
or through a relationship with work, like, or money or whatever it is, and
Yep.
figure out how you feel. And probably what a common theme would be was that you feel not worthy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, a taking accountability that I don't feel worthy here. This person, but it's not even that person or that situation. It's I am letting myself not feel worthy in this situation. Like I have given up on myself, and it's like, how can you in that moment pull yourself back in? What
Yeah.
is something like you are worthy of not having somebody treat you like shit? You are worthy of being loved. And sometimes we don't believe it, right? We
Yeah.
don't, and that's where energy and subconscious work is needed.
Yeah.
But like even just writing a love letter to yourself and telling yourself, like
Yeah.
expressing some kind words.
And like noticing whatever the situation may be, like let's go back to the weight and the scale. It's like you're still worthy.
Mhm.
No matter what you weigh, no matter if you think it's working or it's not working, you are still worthy of love. You're still worthy of loving yourself. You're still enough as you are, just like this. What kind of underlying stories are being told underneath here? Is it other people's projections onto you that are making you feel not good enough and that this needs to change to make them love and accept you? Because again, that's where we're pushing it away. So I 100% agree with you. Sit with yourself. What's underneath it? What's underneath it all?
Yeah. This is like what Crystal and my voice notes sound like constantly. We're like
Yeah.
constantly picking apart a moment. Like, what's underneath that? What emotion? Huh, where is this coming from? Who is that? My mother's projection or is that mine? Don't it like it's
Is
just
this the eclipse? Is this the retrograde? Like that's
well, I
literally.
think this really is our Sagittarius moon. Like
Yeah.
it's just how it is.
We need to understand. We need to get to the root of it. And I love that about us because nothing will be left unhealed.
Nothing. There'll no
We
stone
just
unturned.
no, we just rip it all apart. Let's just get right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So sit with yourself. That's a really good place. And then what is the next step to take? Is this as big as I'm making it out to be? It may feel big, but in the grand scheme of things, like, is it worthy of taking your power from you? Probably
Yes.
not.
Probably not. And I mean, if it's a person, right? Like, let's say if somebody's treating you unfairly, do you really want somebody in your life who's treating you unfairly? Like, do you really want that? Or do you just want the validation to know that if they love me, I'm worthy? It's like, that's a whole other conversation.
That's yeah, that's a really hard one with relationships
It is.
because yeah, it becomes like, but they love me. You know, that whole storyline.
Yeah.
And so it's just that's a topic for a different day.
Yes.
But also, you are worthy of being treated with love and respect and kindness.
Mhm.
You are worthy of
Yeah.
that.
No, you don't need to do anything for that. That
No,
needs to be your base.
and boundaries.
Mhm.
Set up boundaries. If you are constantly getting hurt by the same person over and over, I really hate to say it, it's kind of almost your fault sometimes too, because you have to put those boundaries in place. Like, I'm not letting you have access to me if you're going to treat me this way.
Yep.
No, I am worth more than that,
Mhm. Absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely. I love you so much, Crystal. And
Timothy too.
Crystal and I are exhausted today. We're going to wrap up a little bit earlier, but we will see you guys next week. And we've got some exciting guests coming up. We have
Yeah, we
a
do.
naturopathic doctor coming on. We have a sex, love, and relationship coach coming on. And I don't know who else. We'll figure that out.
Probably many more.
Yes, I'd also love to have somebody come on and talk about money. So, but yeah, thank you guys for listening. And if you guys have or want to hear anything, we would love if you guys would write into us either on Instagram or on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, and we will listen for your requests. So,
Yeah, yay.
okay, guys, see you
Bye.
next week.